If you've ever found yourself sitting in front of a plate of food trying to describe it to someone else and you could not find the words, this is for you. Hi friends, welcome back to my 30-day series on how to become a food content creator in 2025. Today, we are talking about how to speak the language of food. And this is one of those things where if you've ever found yourself sitting in front of a plate of food trying to describe it to someone else and you could not find the words, this is for you. So grab your notebooks. I'm gonna give you a lot of different descriptors and kind of practices that you need to keep in mind when you're talking to your audience about food, because these things are gonna help you feel like you have more of a command of the language. And if you don't feel like you have a command of the language now, this video will help, but also immersing yourself in food culture, cooking shows, food magazines, cookbooks. Actually reading food literature is really going to help you build a better, more robust food vocabulary so that you don't find yourself so stumped when you're sitting in front of a camera or when you're sitting in front of a person trying to describe what you're experiencing on your palate. There are 3 questions that you want to make sure you answer when you're talking to someone or to the camera about food. How does it taste? How does it smell? What is the texture? And then a bonus question that you can answer, if it's applicable, is does it bring up any nostalgia? Does it remind you of anything? Does it take you back, transport you back in time? So I've picked 3 dishes and we're just gonna go through the 3 dishes and I'm gonna talk about how I might talk about them if I were blogging them. So the first dish we're gonna do is a coconut curry. Now, a coconut curry is going to have a very different texture than a soup, right? So like a beef stew is going to have a thinner, more watery broth, and not watery as in it doesn't have flavor, but the consistency of it is a lot thinner than a coconut curry. Coconut curry, instead of saying it tastes really good, you might say it has so much body to it. There's a great viscosity. Viscosity describes like the thickness of a liquid. And so a coconut curry or like an etouffee, those are going to be things that are really thick and they kind of coat the palate, which is another great way to describe a soup that has a lot more body to it. But also with a coconut curry, there's typically going to be a lot of herbs and a lot of aromatics. So is the aroma filling the room? Does it take you back to coconut curry that you had in Thailand when you were on a family trip as a teenager? You've been looking for that same type of curry since you left Thailand and you've never been able to find it, and this bowl is the one. Because the thing is, if you're collaborating with a restaurant or a brand and they've provided this kind of authenticity for you, they would want you to share that with the camera so that other people who are looking for that kind of authenticity in their food could go, do you see where I'm going here? Do you see what we're doing? But also, like I said, there's typically going to be a lot of herbs. There's going to be basil probably, or cilantro, maybe some parsley. Is it herbaceous? If there's spice in it, which there does tend to be in some curries, is the spiciness of it a perfect complement to the sweetness of the coconut milk? There are ways that you can describe it that really bring your audience into your palate. You want to invite them into your palate through your description so that they really connect to and understand what you're experiencing. Say we're describing fried chicken, which is one of my favorite dishes. I ate plant-based for 5.5 years and fried chicken has been one of my number 1 favorite things to come back to. But if I were gonna describe it, instead of just saying it was crunchy and juicy, I might say something like it's very succulent. The seasoning is really complex and well balanced. Because typically with fried chicken, depending on where you go, they're gonna hit it with paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper. It might have a little bit of cayenne on it. It's gonna have a robust, again, you could say the flavor is really robust. It's gonna have an array of seasonings. And so you wanna communicate that this really dances on your palate. It's an explosion of flavor to your followers. If it's a spicy piece of chicken, is it a slow burn? Is your mouth tingling? It's like you really just want to invite them into everything that's happening for you. And then again, with the nostalgia, does this remind you of something your grandmother used to cook? Are you being transported back in time to your summers in the South where you used to go visit your grandmother and on Sundays she would make these elaborate Sunday dinners and fried chicken was always on the menu? If that's the case, take them back. Take them on a journey through what you're experiencing, because the more you can connect what you're eating to something that's important to you, they'll be able to connect it to something that's important to them too, but they'll also be more enticed to try it. And I would also make sure I talked about the texture of the skin. Is it really crispy? Is it flaky? Is it juicy? Is it tender? Like really dive deep into your thesaurus and find a way to help these people connect to what you're eating, because they're watching you through the phone. And then the last one that I'm going to do is a creme brulee, because I think it's important to be able to describe desserts without just saying something is sweet. For a creme brulee, for those who maybe haven't had one, it is custard on the bottom, and then the top is a sugar crust that you actually do with a blowtorch. You make the custard, you let it set overnight, and then you put it in the fridge and put sugar on it the next day, and then you brulee the sugar. And it creates this beautiful, thin, brittle crust on the top of the creme brulee, which is where the brulee comes from. But if I were gonna describe that, I would talk about how luscious or decadent or indulgent the custard was, and how the brulee sugar on the top was the perfect companion to the velvety, smooth texture of the custard. I would talk about how the custard is just like the sweetest aroma of vanilla. These are things that really will paint a picture for people. If I were describing bread, I might talk about how light and airy or fluffy and flaky and buttery and toasted it is. Like, you just want to be as descriptive as possible. If you're not feeling super well-versed in food speak and you want to have more command of the language, again, I cannot encourage you enough, read your cookbooks from cover to cover. Read food reviews. Get Food and Wine magazine. Like, pick up magazines at the store that are, you know how you go to the checkout and they have like all those magazines or recipes and stuff? Get one and just read it. Get one once a month and just read it from cover to cover, because having that command on the language is going to make you a more confident food creator, but it also gives you a little bit something extra that other people aren't necessarily doing. Because the amount of people that I see, and I'm guilty of it myself, sometimes if I'm describing something I'm just really caught up in it, I'm not gonna go through the extra trouble of trying to like figure out how can I convey exactly what I'm experiencing, because wow, this just tastes really good. It's yummy. It's amazing. Wow, wow, wow. I might, get stuck in a wow factor. It's okay. But when you're collaborating with brands, see if you can tap more into the vocabulary of someone who actually lives in a food world. And then if all else fails and you're filming something you can't think of the words, get online. Look up synonyms, adjectives that describe what you're trying to describe. Use them. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect at this, but put in a little bit more effort to make yourself a better creator. I think that about covers it. This doesn't necessarily need to be something that we need to drag out. This is just to help you feel more comfortable stepping into the language of food. Because I know it can be intimidating sometimes when you're trying to describe something and the words are just escaping you. The more you immerse yourself in the world of food and food writing and food literature, the easier it will become for you to command the language when it's time for you to do that. If you haven't watched the rest of the videos in this series, please go back and do that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and let me know if there's anything you want me to cover. I'll be here tomorrow. I hope to see you here.